And we are recording. We are Invest Now Capital. Her name is Elsa Nguyen. My name is Garrison Gilbert. And I see a lot of familiar names. I see a few familiar faces of the faces I can see. So some people on this call are going to be from our investor club. A couple people on this call are in our mastermind. And some people on this call are people we met at the Prop Tech summit that we spoke at over the weekend in Silicon Valley. We are investnowcapital.com. What do? We buy commercial real estate, we buy apartment complexes and assisted living facilities. And tonight, we're going to go over some of the details for our newest acquisition. We just got it under contract. We're super excited about it. It's a 44-bed assisted living facility located approximately 15 minutes from an assisted living facility that we own right now today in Fresno, California area. It's a 44-bed, 9,000 square foot property. We're super excited that we have it under contract because it is extremely hard, extremely difficult to find good deals in today's market. We're very, very picky with what we do buy. We're very, very picky with what we do put offers on, and we're even more picky with what we get under contract. So we don't buy a lot of property, not as much as I wish we did, but we close on a couple big assets a year. This property is under contract for right around 4.7 million. Tonight, we're going to go over the numbers a little bit. We're going to go over some of the underwriting. And then at the end of this presentation, it's not going to take too long, probably 30, 45 minutes tonight. We're going to do a Q&A on it. We had about 90 people register for this call, 87, if I'm not mistaken. We got about 24 online right now. A lot of people are just now getting off of work on the West Coast. So I will send this recording out to everybody who did register. Miss Elsa, let's take it away.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. First of all, thank you everyone for hopping on this call. I know it's last minute, but thank you for being here. And I am going to go ahead and share my screen with you. Before I share the underwriting, I want to share a little bit about the deal just so you kind of know the background of what it's about. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do, I am going to share the operating memorandum. So this just gives you a high level of what this property is about. This is how it looks like. It is a currently a memory care facility in Fresno County, and we got this.
Elsa, do you want to maximize your screen?
How do I do that?
Just on your computer screen, maximize it. Can you click on it and share the big version of it or not?
So right now you see the little version?
Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. Or is that better?
Yeah, that's a lot better.
Okay, that's 150%. So it's just small. So okay, so this one they asked 5.5. We negotiated, put it under contract for 4.7, and that is about 13% cap. That we so that the cap rate, the purchase cap rate was 13%. So which is really nice. Just a little bit about the property, 22 unit, 44 beds, so on and so forth. They recently renovated the property, so there's not a whole lot of work that needs to be done. And I'm going to show you some of the photos so you can see how it looks like. Again, that's just a highlight of this one. Once we reposition this one, it'll be a 21% cap rate. Here's 11%, but it should be 13 because we negotiated down to 4.7. And then this is their pro forma. I have my pro forma, which I'll share with you later. But that's just the gist of it. And this is where the place is. It's in Fresno County. We have a facility right here. So it's not very far from it, which make it very convenient for management.
I am sitting at our current facility right now in Fresno. You can see it in the background a little bit. This particular property is currently operating at 70% occupancy. And what is the average rent per bed, price per bed, Elsa?
Right now they're renting about 5,100, which I'll go over all that number in a little bit. And so here are some photos. I'll share the photo. So I'm going to stop sharing this one and I'm going to share another screen with you so you can see the photos, better photos. Okay, so back to here, photos. So here's some pictures of the facility.
Oh, Jesus.
Can you see it? All right, so
Yeah,
this
pull
is
them
the
up,
dining.
flip through them real quick.
Yeah, dining area, big, nice. As you can see, they just did the flooring, so they're really nice.
Elsa, the photos are super small. You're gonna have to just go through them real
Oh,
quick.
is that right? Yeah, I don't know why it's big on my screen.
It's just how Zoom is. Just click on a folder, then right scroll through them.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
That's not what we're seeing. We're seeing a collage of 15 photos that are thumbnails.
That's interesting.
Now you're not sharing your screen.
I know, I'm just redoing it. So can you see that?
Yep, that's much
Is that
better.
better?
Yep.
Okay, but then I'm gonna, yeah, so this is one of the photo. I have to bring up one by one in order to share it. So unfortunately, that's not gonna work.
That's fine. Let's just get into the presentation.
Yep. So that's just kind of give you an idea of what this look like. And so right now I'm gonna go ahead and put up my underwriting.
Yeah, don't touch my apps.
All right, can you see the full screen?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm actually using an underwriting model that I've used for multifamily. I found it works just the same way. So I'm not, and I know a lot of us here know Michael Blank's underwriting model, so make it easier for everyone to follow. So first of all, this is the one screen that I spend a lot of time on is the P&L, and I play with the number a lot here, but in general, let's look at the summary of the deal. Basically, so as I say, they asked for 5.5. We put it under contract for 4.7. I just got a term sheet yesterday for that somebody in this lender, a local bank, is going to give us $3.8 million for it. So basically, that comes out to be about 81% LTV, and we only need to bring about 20% for the down payment. As I mentioned earlier, most of the major works had already been done. So I'm budgeting very little for repairs and reserve. And if we don't use this money, later when we sell the property, this will be returned back to the investors. So I'm budgeting about 800,000, a bit less than 800,000 for both reserve and repair. Estimated closing cost is about 200,000. The thing with SBA loan is, they give you a lot of money, but they also charge a very high origination fee. As you can see here, the origination fee is it's going to be acquisition cost, 2.75%. So the origination fee is almost $105,000. And all these numbers are actually accurate. We already spent almost $20,000 on the legal fees. And tomorrow I'm going to write a check for $6,000 for the appraisal as well. So with that, all that add up to about 200,000 for closing costs, and all that going to go into this number, as you can see right here. we will do a 3% acquisition fee for this deal. And with that being said, the rate that I'm getting right now, they're actually giving me a discount with SBA loan, normally prime plus 2%. I was able to negotiate it down to prime plus 1.25%. So, and that's gonna change every quarter because they go by prime, but I can't imagine our interest rate gonna go much higher than it is right now. So at the current rate, it's 9.75. Every quarter that will change depend on prime, but whatever that is, let's say if prime gonna drop to 7%, then we're gonna be paying 8.25. And that's pretty much just a summary for the data. We put 1% down to lock up this deal, and we are purchasing this. The current cap rate is about 12%. So with that being said, just the high level, you can see the investor will be getting about 23% IRR return on this deal. The cash on cash is about 33%, and they will get most of their money back in year 3 after we refinance the property. So that's the high level number. Now let's go into the detail. I already showed with you the acquisition cost, what that $200,000 entail. Most of this, half of this already go to the origination fee to the lender. But the good news is that they only have a prepayment penalty for the first 3 years. So if I were to refinance this in year 3, then there will not be a prepay penalty. So the prepay is only for a year if we keep it for shorter than 3 years. All right, so let's go to the P&L. And so these numbers are actually very much in detail. The year number 1, these are actually all year-end number. This is the census by year-end. This is what we're estimating the number is going to look like by the end of year 1. So let's say we close this deal July 1st. This is what we're going to look like by the end of July 1st, June 30th, 2025. They are renting out 31 beds right now at that price, about $5,100. And I have a rent roll to support this number. So they did send me rent roll. I imagine we take over 1 year, we rent out three more beds, private bed. That shouldn't be very difficult to do. So I use 34 private. That means we are at 28% vacancy. And so the gross potential rent, that means if we were to rent out 44 beds, 12 months at that price, that's the full rent that we're going to be getting if we do private pay. And at 28% vacancy, that's $750,000. There's some other income here and there that account for about 36. It's a little bit more than that, but let's say 36 for now. That's our effective gross income at the end of year 1. Now let's go down to the expense. So the way this works is that with the assisted living facility, we have the operation company and we have the real estate company. The operation company will pay for everything, including paying rent to the real estate company. So when we operate this one, the debt service right here is actually the P&L for the operation company going to look a little bit different because the operation company does not pay mortgage. The real estate company pays mortgage. But because I'm combining both the operation and the real estate company together, so we have a big pictures and you can see these numbers on here. So with that being said, $860,000 goes into labor and expense. We have about 22 employee works here right now, full-time and part-time. And this $860,000 includes base salary, employer portion of taxes, and workers' compensation. made up about a little bit over 40% of the expenses go to labor. Okay. Property taxes, about 1.1% of purchase price. That's kind of, so what, 4.7. We estimated about $51,000. I increased it about 5% a year, but I don't think property tax, they reevaluate when there is a sales. So I think it's going to stay the same, but I estimate 5% increase every year just in case. As you can see there, I did verify. So we have two types of insurance that we need to purchase when it comes to AOF. One is the business insurance, and I got a quote today for $35,000. The other one is the insurance for the property. He quoted me $6,500. So together we're paying a little bit over $40,000 for the insurance. Food is another very big expense when it comes to assisted living facility, because with AOF, we are not a nursing facility. Our primary responsibilities for assisted living is to provide medication assistance, bathing, food services. So we just help them. We just help these elders with anything but medical related stuff. So bathing, grooming, food preparation. We also help them with medication management. We have doctors and nurses that come in. If these people have outside doctors and nurses that need to come in and check on them, but we don't have doctors and nurses on site. That's why the labor cost is basically just for caregivers only. And in Fresno, the labor cost is relatively cheaper than if we were to live here in the Bay Area. The average wage per hour is about $15.50. That's what I see on the payroll right now. So that saves us a lot of money because we don't have to hire doctors and nurses. So food and kitchen, we budget $219 per person per month. And so the first year, I took $219 times 32 beds times 12 months. That's the number that I came up with. And then you can see the number goes up every year depending on the number of beds. So that food and kitchen, utilities, that came out from their 2023 P&L. So I don't change that at all. It's the same with marketing, repairs, and maintenance. All that number came from their 2023 numbers. Resident care supplies, diapers and this and that. That's about $30,000 a year. And then the second biggest expense is the management fee. So we do hire a third-party operator who are very experienced in managing AOF facility. As owner, we are working alongside with them, but we are not the one who would manage the staff, who hire the staff. We're not the one who we are not the one who's there if there's an emergency at night. The operator is the one, and the administrator is the one that's gonna show up and do whatever that we need to do. As the owner, we just work alongside with them, but operators is the one that's a lot more hands-on than us. We pay them 6% of the gross income a year. So if you take 6% times $1 million times this number, 1.968, that's what we get. And then I already talked about property insurance. So our operating expenses is, right around, it's always run around 70%. In this case, if we do well in the first year, it's right around 67%. So that gives our net income $640,000. And then that our debt services, according to the 9.75 interest rate that we get, I show you that number. So the first year after we pay everything, we have a cash flow of $233,000. There will be the asset management fee. So the management fee, like I say, we work alongside with the operators. to manage this property, and we pay the management team 3% out of the income. So after you pay the management fee, then we pay the preferred return to the investor. So in this case, investor will get 8% preferred return and also 50% equity in the property profit sharing. So they will get the full $160,000. So this is 8% of $2 million basically. And then we got a little bit left over. We split 50 with them, 50 with the management team. So that, as you can see here, the managers don't make money until we pay at least that 8% to the investors first. And then as we increase our revenue every year, you can see here the cash flow to the members increase every year. And it increased dramatically after year number 3, because year 3, when we refinance the property and we return the capital back to the investor, our hope is that we can return about 80%, if not 100% back to the investor. But you still have that 50% equity profit share until we sell the property, even when you already made all your money back. So that's just the high level numbers. If we keep going this way, and if we sell this thing in year 7, as you can see here, the NOI in year 7 is about $1 million. And if we were to sell this at a 12% cap rate, usually the sale price is net income divided by cap rate. So at an 11%, 12% cap rate, we can sell this for about $8.9 million. If we can sell it at 11% cap rate, we'll sell this thing for 9.7. If we sell this at 13% cap rate, we'll sell this thing for 8.2. And we were in for 4.7, as you remember. So that's just a very high level number. And then all this expense, as you can see right here, is super detailed. I increase this from year 1. As you can see here, year 1, our labor expense was $860,000. That's a little bit more than what they pay in 2023. 2023, according to the tax return, they pay $760,000. So we increase this a little bit because I increased four people here. For resident there, they were at 30. I think they're at 31 right now. So our labor goes up because we probably need to hire 1 or 2 more caregivers. Year number 2, I went from 34 to 36. And because all the residents who live in there now are private pay, so that means they pay out of their own pocket. We engaged this management company who's also the management company, but she also had over 20 years working with the ALW program, which is ALW stands for Assisted Living Waiver, is a Medi-Cal pay program for people to be living in assisted living homes instead of nursing homes. And on average for memory care patient, dementia patient, they pay anything between $6,000 to $7,500 a month. $6,000 is tier 4, $7,500 is tier 5. And our goal is to put in about 70% of the ALW clients in their tier 4 and 30% tier 5. But if we can do more tier 5 than 4, then of course our number will be even better. So that's how we came up with the average of $6,450 in year 3 when we are 100% ALW clients. Year 2, we cannot quite switch over yet, so I still have about 16 private, and we do 20 ALW. So that number right there, 5320, is a average between the 2 groups. We do 18% vacancy the second year, just to be conservative, 15% the 3rd year, and then 4th year forward we do 10% vacancy. And as far as the rate, I don't even increase the rate in year 2. I increase the rate in year 4. So if we do 70% resident pay $6,000 a month and 30% resident pay $7,500 a month, we come up with $6,450. And then after that, I increase the annual rent by 3.5%, which is not a whole lot. I think we can probably get 5. but let's just do 3.5 just to be sure. So that's how we can increase the rent every year after year 3. And then the same with expenses here. As you can see, the numbers are not the same. In year 2, I increased the labor by 20% compared to year 1. And then in year 3, I increased that number by 52% compared to year 1, even though I only increased the number of residents by 6 people. But again, I do this just so that we can be more on the conservative side. And then every year after that, as you can see, I increase the labor cost by 5% every year. Property taxes, they should probably stay the same, but I increase this about 3.5% every year. Same with insurance, I increase about 3.5% every year. And so the food for cost, this is workout depend. So you can see 200. The first year started out, I used 219 per person per bed, and we had 32 residents in there. Second year, I increased that 219 by 5%. So now we are, I don't know, 225 or so, 36 bed. And then, so the number increased every year here, just so then, you know, I don't use the number year 1 for every year thereafter. So with that being said, that, you know, that's just our numbers right there. We are, again, operating at around 68 to 70%. It would be so good if we can operate at 65%, and our return will be significantly more. So that's for the profit and loss. Looking out the next 10 years, we don't have to keep this thing for 10 years. In my assumption, I say we sell in year 7, but again, we'll play by ears. Exit strategy, we are going to refinance this in year 3. We do a cash out refi. I assume that when we refinance, the cap rate is 12.3%, which is significantly high. Usually ALF cap rate is around 10-11%. So if I use 12.3%, the appraised value is 6.9, but let's say I can find a bank and appraise this thing at 10% cap. Now we look at the appraised value of 8.5. That means everybody gonna get their money back. But again, if I use a more conservative number, 12.3% cap rate, then this thing appraised 6.9, and we can only return 69% of the capital. So this numbers is not 100%, but I think it's a pretty conservative number given that I use an extremely high cap rate and also pretty high interest rate when we refinance this property. We'll refinance either into a HUD or agency loan, so then we can get a little bit of a better rate than SBA right now. And then if we were to sell this thing in year 7, again, if we use a 12% cap rate, with net operating income of $1,069,000, the sale price is going to be 8.9. Sale cost 4%, that's commission, closing costs. The investors will, you know, even though they already got most of their money back in year 3, they still get to go take home $1.4 million when we sell this property. And that if we were to sell it at 12% cap. Let's say we don't want to sell this in year 7, but we sell it in year 10. So you can see the number is significantly more. Now your internal rate of return is 23% instead of 21, right? So again, this is for, we can play by ears. I think if we get our money back, everybody got their capital return in year 3. And after that, they're just sitting on passive cash flow every year. There is no rush to sell it. We could keep for 7 years, we could keep for 10 years, whatever makes sense. Just unhide that. So when we sell, so this is, if we were to sell this in 10 years, this is the total return to the investor, $4.8 million. So that's a very strong return given that. So that's 238%. So they invest, initially they invest $2 million. They got most of it back in year 3. Year 10, we sell. All the returns, you know, that you make here will come out to be about 4.7, 4.8 right there. So if you invest $100,000 with us, then this is, you invest 100,000, you will make, if we keep this thing for 10 years, you'll be making $238,000 for $100,000 investment. If you invest 50,000 with us, then you're making 119,000. So 238% return on investment. Not bad at all. That pretty much concludes my presentation.
So high level, Elsa is a lot more detailed than myself. High level, 44-bed assisted living facility, Fresno, California, located approximately 15 minutes from a property that we currently own and operate as assisted living. This particular property is dementia care, aka memory care. Right now, it's currently operated by a mom and pop type of operation. The lady is selling this thing because she wants to go do an album, and she lived in Nashville for a couple years. Right now, she's operating this facility at 70% occupancy. So, and this facility is also operating at much less than market rent. She has a great reputation in the area. Her reputation is she takes the worst of the worst patients per se. Now, I've spent several hours at this facility. And when I say the worst of the worst, I don't see fist fights. I don't see things of that sort. But for example, I saw an older lady in the lobby who kept telling me to leave. Get the hell out of here. You're messing up our flow of the day. Just older people that have memory issues per se. But she's known for taking the worst of the worst. Other hospitals call her and say, hey, we have a quote unquote disgruntled elderly person. Here's the story with him. Do you want to take it? And her attitude is always, bring it on. I'll take it. Because of that, she operates at a much less occupancy. Moving forward, our game plan is to increase that 70% occupancy closer to 90% occupancy. She has a lot of dead space in the facility, a lot of big rooms that she's using just as storage. It looks like junk. I'm going to guess it's not junk, but it's storage, and she's not utilizing all of her space. We're going to clear out those rooms, number one. We're going to, I'm not going to say we're going to add more square footage, but in general, we're going to add more square footage by clearing out those storage rooms and community rooms and things that she's not utilizing. We will then implement an ALW program, which is a California program, which stands for Assisted Living Waiver, which then increases our price per bed. We then take it up to 90% occupancy, and our numbers look a lot better than what she's operating at. At her current operation, she paid herself roughly $650,000 last year, and good for her. Mom and pop operation, she now wants to get out of this business, and we're going to come in and run it a little bit more efficiently, increase revenue, increase occupancy, and do what we do from a real estate standpoint. We then, quote unquote, partnered up with a third-party management company, someone who we met through a lot of networking in this industry. Everyone said, you need to meet this lady, you need to meet this lady, you need to meet this lady. This is who you want to meet. We met this lady, we hit it off. She liked us a lot because we're real estate individuals. Normally, she's dealing with nursing type of individuals who buy these properties, and they don't really have a scalability type of mindset. We come in from a real estate standpoint. We want to increase occupancy. We want to increase efficiency. We want to decrease expenses, and we want to buy more facilities. Our goal is to own approximately 1,000 to 2,000 of these in the next couple of years. But that's only if we find the right deals. If we find deals where the numbers are an absolute slam dunk. The expected close date on this property is July 20th. We are not raising capital right now. We've had a lot of people express interest in this property, express interest in the assisted living process in general. It's a 9,000 square foot facility currently in operation. And I put some notes in the chat below, which I'm just kind of going through right now. Exit strategy, number one, refinance year 3. Investors get a return of capital, and then refinance or sell end of year 7, depending on a lot of different variables with this property. Definitely one or the other, so that investors should have all of their capital back before year 7 or on year 7 as a maximum. We will play it by ear once and we do this with all of our real estate. We've bought approximately $50 million worth of real estate over the last 18 months or so, a mix of apartment complexes and assisted living facilities. And every property is a little bit different. A lot of times we buy these properties and we go in with one game plan and we end up implementing slightly different one because it's more profitable. That property dictates kind of what we do with it. Meaning, if we get in this property and there becomes a lot of CapEx, there becomes a lot of renovation needed, maybe we sell it a little bit sooner. On the other hand, we're into a couple properties where we thought it was going to take X amount of dollars and it took a lot less than that. And we switched gears and held it a little bit longer. So we play that by ear a little bit on top of what do the returns look like for our investors. First and foremost, number one, we care about the return of capital for our investors. Secondly, I shouldn't say secondly, but secondly to making sure that we're providing assisted living facilities that I feel comfortable that, God forbid, I had to move in one of these facilities. My parents had to move in one of these facilities. One of our loved ones had to move in one of these facilities. We're not looking for the big box type of atmosphere. We're not looking for the hospital type of atmosphere. We're looking for a clean, homey place that, as a worst case scenario, I would have no problem calling home. And whenever I went and visited this property, when I spent several hours there on 2 different occasions, I've been to this property thus far, and I'll be there several times starting next week. This is the type of facility that I would not mind calling home. And I've went and visited tons of these facilities, just kind of doing mystery shopping. This is one of the few, and they did not know I was coming several of these times. Several of these times, they didn't know that I was a potential buyer. They just thought I was looking for a place for my mother. And this place did not smell like urine. This place did not smell like death. This place did not smell like older people, for lack of a better term. And that's what we're looking for whenever we put these properties under contract, make our offers, and try to implement our business plan. So with that being said, scheduled settlement is probably end of July. Anyone who invests into this project will be investing at a $50,000 minimum. We will have a differential between Class A and Class B. One will be a slightly higher pref return and one will have slightly higher equity. And we'll have more details about that when we do an actual investor presentation, which all of you guys will be invited to for sure. But long story short, that's this particular facility. That's the ins and outs of it. She went over the details. I went over the big picture. Now I'm going to open it up to pretty much an open Q&A if anyone has any questions. Question in the chat below. How many employees do they have right now? Number one. Number two, what is the hourly rate? Hourly rate is approximately $15.50 per hour. And how many employees do they have right now, Elsa? Do you know that number off the top of your head?
I do. I'm just opening it up right now. So we have, beside the, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23.
And while Elsa's figuring out that number, the way that these facilities operate is we have an admin on site. Go ahead, Elsa.
Sorry, they had 33 people on payroll last year, but keep in mind, most of them were part-time or even temp. Oh, actually, I have a staffing schedule right here.
So when I was at the facility, there were approximately, I was in the middle. I spent a lot of time there in the middle of the daytime, a little bit after lunchtime. And they had an on-site chef who was there. They had the admin who was there, and they had approximately 4 to 5 women kind of doing craft time, things of that sort. And that was just one shift.
So
and they have,
just to answer your question, I just want to make sure there's no, so there's about 20 people and you can see their wage right there. So 15 and a half, 16, 3,000 probably for the administrator. But that gives you an idea. They have caregiver, they have med tech, they have activity per dietary. They have someone that, doing laundry, activity directors. So if you are a facility more than 12 people, they more than 16 people, we are required to have somebody in charge of activity and someone in charge of dietary, like food, like a chef. But
And
about 20 people for now.
Whenever I spend time at the facility, the owner was very hands-on throughout the last 15 years or so. Very, very hands-on. For the last 7, 8 months, she's kind of been wiggling her way out of this business. And her staff is all very cross-trained. She says that she has absolutely no problem leaving the facility for a week or two at a time, and one staff member can fill in for another one. Her staff is very well trained. A lot of her staff has been there for a long time. Very nice group of ladies. When I was there, just kind of randomly popped in and said, "Hey, I'm looking for a place." Two, whenever they knew that the owner was taking me around and showing me the place, because they thought everyone always thought I was there for my mother, other than the owner. So very well-run facility. And that was kind of her sweet spot at that 70% occupancy. And then, of course, our goal is then to kind of get away from having the quote unquote troublemakers, which a troublemaker might not be quite what you're thinking, but then increase revenue through the ALW program. Preferred rate for the investor, 11% or 8%. Yeah, there's going to be Class A, there's going to be Class B. The 8% is going to come with equity. The 11% is going to come with no equity, if I'm not mistaken. But once again, we don't have those final details exactly ironed out yet. We're still in the process of hiring our SEC attorney, going through the SEC attorney, all of that paperwork. Just over the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we spent $8,000-9,000 or so having attorneys review the business documents, the contract of sale for the business, the contract of sale for the real estate. Any other questions? What is the plan for reducing the vacancy rate from 30 to 10%? Filled with government program. Yes, so it'll be filled with government program, number one. And as I mentioned, we will increase the available square footage to the patients and increase more common area square footage that she's just not utilizing right now.
Yeah, so the ALW program, it takes 9 months from the time we submit our application, and then it takes another 3 months. So once they approve, the state has a long list of people that they need a home. So we shouldn't have any problem with getting people in the facility once we get into the ALW program, but that takes 9 months. So in the meantime, we continue to work with private residents. They are already 30%, and I know that the owner currently chooses to operate it at 70% occupancy. It's not because she cannot get more people, and she just chooses to operate at that level. It shouldn't be, I don't think it's going to be difficult for us to continue fill up the space until we get approved for the ALW, and it will be a phase out. So my underwriting year number 2 is a mix of private and ALW, because we can't just kick these people out, right? They're older people, they live there for a long time. So we just have to go through that phase out in year 2. And year number 3 is when we fully is when we are 100% ALW, because we get paid more. It's just easier. You get paid more, and easier for you to get them than having us to go out and do some marketing to get the people.
Any other questions? Going once. What time is it right now? We've done this for 48 minutes. Our goal was 45. Any other questions? Going once. Anyone feel free to speak up, or feel free to put anything in the chat. Going twice. I am going to hit the